for our spotlight on retailers, in-store, online, shopping trends that you should be focused on in the disruption of 2023. Our next guest has all of this and will explain. Mauricio Vianna is with us, CEO of MJV Innovation. Thanks for being with us this day as we're starting off a new year. Now, your company is doing a lot of consulting for more than 2 decades. You're working with big companies like Coca-Cola, like Unilever. You're watching consumer trends. But one thing that has really gotten your focus is the digital experience, physical and digital experience. What do they need to do, all of these companies, for 2023 to succeed?
Well, thank you for having me here, Nicole. We have just launched a report that mentions all this, what I'm going to say. It's a CPG and retail report. The most important thing to do is to understand the consumers, the consumer needs, the consumer behavior. And nowadays, consumers are very worried about sustainability. So what happens with the climate change? So CPG companies and retailers, they have to pay a lot of attention on what happens, with their products after they sell. So they need to be worried about like circular economy. How can you recycle the products that they sell? So that's one.
Right.
Another topic that's very important for retailers has to do with what we call fintechization. We see a lot of, a trend of retailers and CPGs moving towards the financial field, giving credits to potential retailers. So that's the second one. The third has to do with the online to offline, offline to online experience. So retailers have to pay a lot of attention to this because nowadays many consumers, they just go to the store to try to understand what the product looks like, and then potentially buy online. And the last one has to do with the metaverse and the phygital experience, using augmented reality, virtual reality, all this using technology.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to cover here. The first, ESG, sustainability. We're seeing a lot of companies having things that are now recyclable, and that's a theme that we've been seeing, and it seems like the right thing to do. I don't know how much it's costing these companies to do it. One of the companies eliminated green bottles and went to clear bottles because the green bottles were not recyclable. So that's CPG being consumer products and goods, right? I'd like to focus on the other point that you talked about, which is the fintech part of it. What does that mean? Does that mean they have to accept digital pay and crypto or whatever? I mean, you did have Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan today actually noting about some of the competition, he said, from the likes of Apple and Walmart and their own ways to pay for things.
Exactly. Well, first of all, consumers expect a seamless and frictionless experience while they go through the stores. So retailers, they realize this, and they realize that it's very important also to create loyalty through with their customers, and allow them to pay with their own system. So they keep the money inside. They offer cashback, loyalty programs. So this is digital wallets. So this is and also credits. If you're a CPG and you have, like, let's say retailers, why not offering them credit lines to help them purchase your own product?
I don't know if you could name some names. I mean, you could tell us maybe some companies that are doing things right, in your opinion, or maybe some that need work. I am curious about the metaverse story, but before I get to that, just maybe, are you seeing some companies that are in consumer products or retail that are doing things right? And what is it that they're doing right?
Well, I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola. It's not just because they are our client, but you see a company that does good. It's positive for the, it's looking positive for the society, and is worried about, reducing their impact on climate. So recently they just launched the crystal water, it has a worse experience in terms of holding the bottle, but however it impacts less the
environment.
And they are very also worried about the social impact. So so there's some programs about how do you move like 5 million young people into jobs. So this is, they're worried about society.
So that's what you mean when you're talking about that. Last but not least, the physical and digital. You combined the word itself. You called it phygital, and you said it's not a typo. What does this mean? Tell me what that means and what I may be doing as a regular person in the year ahead.
So what happens is all those devices like glasses, augmented reality, your experience inside the store or even outside the store will be augmented. So we as a company, we help to design these processes and also implement the technology for some retailers.
Yeah, and what's the final theme about the environment and the consumer trends and demand? Are you feeling positive or worried?
I think positive, especially now with some new governments around the world. The impact of climate change is here. And we need to change this. But one thing, the last point I wanted to mention, just looking around Williamsburg here in Brooklyn, New York, we noticed that some retailers are really focused on the community. So this is a trend that we think that will happen, where retailers will personalize their offerings based on the communities where they are located.
Right.
So this is something I think will happen all around the world. Because that's the way to be closer to your consumer.
And that's how it always worked, right? I mean, you had the kind of food that the community liked, things like that, in the language that the community used, things like that. So I see what you're saying. It's wonderful to have you on, and thank you for your view on these trends for 2023. Mauricio Vianna, CEO of MJV Innovation.